All right, let's just jump right in. You know that feeling, right? Your day is absolutely slammed, back-to-back meetings, notifications are just constantly pinging, and your to-do list? It's somehow getting longer and not shorter. But then you get to the end of the day and you think, what did I actually get done? Today, we're diving headfirst into that exact feeling, what I like to call the productivity trap.
I mean, does this sound familiar? Because it's pretty much the modern workday in a nutshell. It's just constant pings, urgent last-minute requests, and a calendar that feels more like you're playing defense than offense. And all the while, that really important needle-moving work, yeah, it just gets shoved further and further down the list. But look, this isn't some personal failure. It's a systemic problem, and it's driven by a really powerful psychological bias.
So, psychologists have a name for this, the mere urgency effect. It's basically our brain's default setting. It's programmed to prioritize whatever is screaming for our attention right now, even if it's totally trivial, over the quiet, long-term work that actually moves the needle. And the crazier part? The busier we feel, the stronger this effect gets. And it just creates this vicious cycle of being busy, but not productive.
So why on earth does this happen? Well, think about it this way. Our brains are basically running on ancient software. That little jolt of anxiety you feel from an urgent email, that's the exact same fight-or-flight response our ancestors had for, actual life or death threats. The system that was designed to keep us safe from predators is now getting hijacked by digital pings, tricking us into a constant state of low-grade panic.
So if we're all just wired for distraction, are we doomed? Is there any hope? Well, there's this fascinating area of research that suggests we might be looking at procrastination all wrong. Turns out, not all delay is actually bad.
And this is the real game changer. The choice isn't just, am I going to do this task or not? The real question is, what are you doing instead of that task? Because the answer to that question can be the difference between a really smart adaptive strategy and just plain self-sabotage.
Okay, so check this out. This study on college students just illustrates the point perfectly. Researchers found 5 totally distinct procrastination styles. You've got your non-procrastinators up top, no surprise there, high GPAs. But look at this second group, the academic productive procrastinators. These are the folks who put off one big assignment by working on another one. And the result? Get this, they had high GPAs and low alcohol problems, just like the people who didn't procrastinate at all. It's a kind of productive delay.
And when you compare the extremes, the results are just stark. The most adaptive style, that academic productive one, was statistically identical to not procrastinating at all. But on the flip side, the most harmful style wasn't the classic procrastinator vegging out watching TV. No way. It was the non-academic style, where people kind of mixed doing chores with watching YouTube. That group, they did the worst on every single metric. It's fascinating.
So understanding our own tendencies is step 1. But what's step 2? Well, you need a practical tool, something to help you consciously override that urgent is important glitch in your brain. This is how we actually escape the trap.
Let me introduce you to the Eisenhower Matrix. It's a beautifully simple but super powerful way to sort your tasks. Quadrant 1, the urgent and important stuff, that's your do-it-now pile. Crises, real deadlines. But the real goal is to live in Quadrant 2, important but not urgent. This is where you decide, where you schedule time for strategy, for real growth. Quadrant 3 is for stuff that's urgent to other people but not you. That's what you delegate. And Quadrant 4, all those distractions, you just delete them. But here's the secret, the part nobody really talks about. Research by psychologists like Therese McCann found that the biggest benefit of using a framework like this isn't necessarily that you get way more done. Instead, it's about the massive increase in your perceived control over your own time. And that feeling of control dramatically lowers your stress and makes you happier at your job. So it's not just a productivity hack, it's practically therapy.
Now, our collective struggle with this urgency trap, it hasn't exactly gone unnoticed. In fact, it's fueled an absolutely massive global industry that's laser-focused on solving this exact problem.
So you've got this fundamental mismatch, right? On one hand, you have our brains biologically wired to react to every little thing like it's a threat. And as a result of that mismatch, we've literally built a multi-billion-dollar market for apps and tools all promising to help us get that focus and control back. And the scale here is just staggering. We're talking about a market for productivity apps that's forecasted to be worth over $18 billion by 2030. That's how much money we're willing to spend to try and outsmart our own brains.
So where is all this happening? Well, right now, the market is pretty much dominated by web and desktop apps. That's about 2/3 of the pie.
But mobile is catching up fast, which just shows how much we need these tools to keep up with us wherever we go.
And who's buying all this stuff? Well, while the big corporations make up the biggest slice of the market today, it's actually the small and medium-sized businesses that are growing the fastest. It just proves that this need for better tools is completely universal, from a giant company to a tiny team.
So how do we tie all this together? How do we actually go from being perpetually busy to being truly effective? Here's a hint. It's not about finding the perfect app. It's about changing your entire approach.
Okay, the real path forward. It's not about fighting more hacks. It's about having more self-awareness. First things first, figure out your own procrastination style. Are you being productively adaptive or just busy? Then, use a simple framework like that Eisenhower matrix to force yourself to make conscious choices, not just react to things. Let your tools support that strategy, not create more noise. Because at the end of the day, the game isn't about managing tasks. It's about managing your focus.
And that really brings us to the final, most important question. It's the one you should be asking yourself every single day. Because let's be honest, your to-do list will always be infinite, but your time and your energy, they're not. So the real challenge and the real opportunity is to somehow look past all that noise and answer one simple question. What is truly important?